welcome back to yet another episode of Parsons Productions. In today's episode, we've got some big plans. So, what we have today is a package. You can see I've already opened the package. However, you may notice that it says Cognito Moto, and I have spoken about this before. However, I was debating on whether buying it or not because it is not cheap. This right here is the Cognito Moto motorcycle conversion stem for the 1980 era KZ750 to the modern day Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R conversion fork stem. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is CNC'd aluminum that is going to replace this piece of Johnson right here. Now this right here is the original fork, and you can see this is the new one. It's a tiny bit taller. Supposedly this one's gonna work. There's not a lot of reviews online. There's not a lot of people doing this online, so I am kind of the beta test version to find out whether this works or not. And I'm a little nervous because this was not cheap and I don't know how the return policy works. So we'll play with it by ear. So that is on our agenda today. Now this needs to be pressed. Now who has a hydraulic press laying around? No one, right? My dumbass went out and bought a hydraulic press. So I'm now the proud owner of a hydraulic press. We're gonna assemble that here in a little bit and we're gonna press some things. I've never pressed anything before, but I mean, I've seen videos of it. It can't be too hard. So this came with bearings for the bottom and the top. I'm gonna take this triple tree apart and we'll put it together. So on the agenda today, we need to address this. So if you can look here, the wheel is not quite centered. There is a little bit of play back and forth, and I'm concerned with how that's going to affect it. Now, I know obviously it needs to be centered. There's space. So what I'm thinking about doing is either option A, assemble the brakes, put the brakes on, and see how the brakes center the wheel up, and maybe that'll just center it, and that's the end of the day. Option B is I could create some wheel spacers out of some just pipe, and I'll put a sleeve of pipe right on each side to prevent that wheel from going back and forth on a lateral axis. So those are the two main things we need to accomplish today. So once again, welcome back to episode 3 of Parsons Productions. Enjoy. So while I haven't been making videos for the last week, I've been dealing with these silly little carburetor caps. The inner ones were orange, which I thought were kind of tacky looking. So I've decided to take them down with the wire wheel and recoat them with a high temp protective primer, followed by this sweet little textured spray paint I found. And it's kind of funky because it comes out clear. It comes out clear with texture. So I wanted a texturized matte black. So what I ended up doing was I ended up painting over like 4 different times and taking it back down with the wire wheel and back and forth and back and forth. I finally got it to where I like it-ish now, but it's okay. You'll see at the end. This is not the right color. One other super fun thing I found is I found my leak. I found my oil leak. For the longest time I have had this crazy oil leak coming from the bottom of the bike, and I could not find where it was leaking for the life of me. And I finally found it was this tiny little cap. I have no clue what the cap is, but I cleaned it up, painted it, and I found a new O-ring for it, and I installed that, and hopefully that solved my leak issue. Alrighty, so here is a 12-ton hydraulic press. Got it from our crate, so I'm not expecting perfection, but it needs assembling, so let's do so. This is gonna take a while to put together. I'll check back in with you later. Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is definitely not no IKEA furniture. There's definitely not very much instruction. There's a picture of it, and you're supposed to assemble it that way. So we're assembling. I don't know why. I always start assembling things with hand tools, and then like halfway through the project, I'm like, oh wait, I have power tools. Like. Every single time. So I put this together backwards, so I need to go ahead and undo it because I thought I was paying attention to the instructions, but like I said, it's physically, it's just a picture. That's all there is. Like there's no assembly instructions. Like there's that, and then it's like, wow, it's together. So let's take this apart. The hydraulic press is officially halfway done. It's going great. One shot press all put together. This thing is disappointingly wobbly. I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, I've had better experience with Harbor Freight than that, but I mean, like, so it comes with these little metal things. I'm assuming you put these in places like that or something like that, and you just press it out. I don't know. I'll have to play around with it and see what's what. I don't know. I might return this because this feels very cheap. So we'll see. I don't know. We need to disassemble El Wheelo to get to the triple tree so we can press this young man. So let's start disassembling. All right, triple tree is disassembled. It's time to take it to the press and press that way to get it off. Let's see how this goes. I'm really curious. Okay, so I have the triple tree all set up here. I need to put something on here so I don't damage it. Other than that, I think we're ready to go. You know what's never failed me? It's heat. Pounding edge up. Oh my God. Gonna try to heat up the whole triple tree. Oh my God, that was scary. All right, so I've been fricking around with this thing for a while now. So I took two 2x4s and I placed them down, and I was really worried because these pieces are higher than that piece, and I was really concerned that it wasn't gonna go. And then also had this bearing race right here, but I have no way of getting that bearing race out because it's so flush. So I just kept going and it's making progress, I think. I mean, if you look down underneath, you can see it's coming out. I guess it just keep going. God, this thing is so wobbly. Ha. Yes. Get out, you. This is so exciting. Oh my God. Ha. Woohoo! Let's go, boys. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Oh, that thing stinks. I don't know why it smells so bad, but I got it out. That took a while. Oh, now this bearing race is stuck. You can see that bearing race? That was on there. I was trying to get this clip out for a long time. You can see it's all mangled, but yeah, I got it out. That was exciting. Look at the mark it made on the wood. That's cool. Got it. There's one stock OEM ZX6R front fork triple tree stem. Got it. Let's check out the difference between these. So this is the Cognito Moto one. This is the stock one. You can see this one is definitely a little bit taller, just to accommodate, I don't know what it's accommodating, to tell you the truth. I guess the difference tube length on the bike over there. A little bit taller than I guess the stock one. I don't know, I've never seen a ZX6R in person really to have something to compare it to, but here they are together. This one is definitely skinnier, same diameter at the bottom. Basically the same way. I mean, this one's solid, that one's hollow. So, I don't know. This is what $200 gets you, I guess. But let's clean that thing up and we'll install that one. Okay, so now that this is all cleaned up, polished it up a little bit just because it was looking a little filthy, it is time to install our new triple tree stem. Concern on how this is gonna go, just because this thing was so stupid expensive. But essentially, that is gonna go in like that, and that needs to be pressed down in like that. It shouldn't be too hard, really just, I think the biggest thing is getting it straight. I might put a little bit of lube on it so it goes in a little smoother. I don't know if that'll help or not, but I saw the video of a guy doing it once, so maybe. Yeah, it's just pressed together. It's going smoothly. I think that's straight, but it's in there. That was the smoothest thing I've done all day long. Like, I've been fighting with this silly press all day long, but this went really, really well. So yeah, I guess the next step would be to mount some bearings. Let's see what we can get going with that. This is the bottom bearing, and you can see this one looks like so. And this will go in right on the bottom of the bike. So that with grease, but what's something that was cool, what I found out is they're different. The two ones that I showed you earlier, there's a big one and there's a small one. Now the big one goes on the bottom because this is bigger. Smaller one right here, which is the exact same thing, just a tiny bit smaller, it's gonna go in on the top. So I'm gonna clean these bearing races out a little bit because I messed them up a little bit when I got the old bearings out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a brush and kind of brush them out and get them all cleaned up. And then we will install some bearings. Once bearings are in, we're in business. We're in business. So it's just gonna be installing the triple tree. And then, I don't know if I showed you guys, but I've got a new upper triple tree clamp because the triple tree clamp that's was on here didn't get sold to me. AKA I just didn't buy it. So I had to buy a new one. This one's like 20 bucks, it wasn't that bad. So this one will fit on just like that. I'd already test fitted it with the forks and the top of the triple tree, and this should fit up beautifully. And this thing's gonna look so fire, dude. I am so pumped about this. It's just gonna look so good. Can't wait. Let's install some bearings. Okay, so I'm about to mount the top bearing race. I believe that needs to go in just like so. I'm gonna get it as straight as possible. I'm gonna put this piece of wood on it, and I'm just gonna tap it with a hammer. We're gonna see what happens. I think I need heat. I also think I got it stuck. Ha! I feel pretty good about this. I just sat here with a torch for like a solid 5 minutes, and I just heated it up. I took a hammer with the 2x4, and I just kept tapping, tap, and it is perfectly aligned now. Perfectly aligned. When I watched a video on how to install bearing races, and one guy actually told me to put it in the freezer and allow the metal to contract, and then heat this surface up. So you have a really tiny metal piece and a really big hot metal piece, stick them together and they'll fuse together. So I got the bottom piece in the freezer right now, so I'm about to go take it out of the freezer and we'll do the bottom. You know, I was expecting this to be a lot harder, but just installed 2 new bearing races and they look beautiful. Like, first, check out the bottom. That one looks great. And then here's the top. That one also looks great. Like, this is just a win-win. Like, today's going so well. Like, I'm so happy. So our next step will be to pack these bearings with grease, stick them on. I mean, these are going to be press fit on the stem, so I'm a little concerned how that's going to go. But you know, this is my first time doing this kind of thing, so let's give it a shot. There was a bump stop right here. You can see it kind of there. It was interfering with the way the triple tree mounted, so I cut it off. I'm gonna need to weld up something for another bump stop because the handlebar is just gonna go full left or full right and it's gonna crash. So I need to make another bump stop. It's unfortunate I had to cut that off, but I did. Okay, I may have underestimated this press, but I needed to press the bottom bearing in, and I watched a couple of videos. This is one guy I'm following on YouTube that kind of is doing something similar, but a little different. But he took a pipe and just took a pipe and hammered his bearing in. But what I did, I was like sitting here looking at this hydraulic press, and I was like, wow, I could just put this upside down, put 2 pieces of metal around it, and just shove it down. And that's exactly what I just did, and it worked perfectly. Like, I greased it up a little bit ago, you can see the grease in there, but that makes me happy. I like this. This is going so well. Today is just going perfectly. It never goes that way. Okay, so I think we're at a bit of a stopping point for today with the KZ750 restoration / modernization build. Big day today. We got some good stuff done. If you take a peek, we've got the lower triple tree mount taken care of. I was able to get some new grease because the white lithium grease I was using earlier is ideal. So I got some red grease that works really well. It's for high temp stuff. I mean, it's not going to get very high temp, but it'll work. However, the one bit of a problem I'm running into now is this is the top mount for the triple tree, and these are the ones, the CNC'd aluminum pieces that it came with from Moto. And for some reason they gave me 2 of the lower threads, but not one of the upper thread and one of the lower thread. They gave me, it's kind of weird. Got a bunch of these things laying around. They're just little not washers, but like nuts that go on top of these right here. But all the ones I have are not the right size, and it's not something you can just buy online. So I'm either gonna have to take a bit like this and ream it out and then tap and die it, but I don't know if they make a tap and a die that big. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that and see what I can come up with. But big news today though, we got the bearings, bearing races pressed in. We've got the triple tree fork mounted, and that's big news. That's big progress for this build because that was slowing me down extra big. On other news, I don't know what I'm doing with these. These are the tops of the carburetor caps. I have been working on these things for a while now. They were orange before, and I wasn't really vibing with the orange. So I really wanted a textured coating. Like you can see if you look closely, they're somewhat textured and they're matte black. I wanted them matte black, but the paint I bought was black and textured, and it came out like clear and textured, which was weird, and it covered up just the primer, and there's a whole section. I'll go into that here in a second, but I'm not super sold on these. I'm gonna put them on anyway and deal with these things. So I'm gonna put them on. That wraps up this episode of Parsons Production, so please stay tuned to the next episode, episode 4, where we'll dive in to wrapping this front end up because I am ready to rip this thing around with a sweet new front end. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. The likes and the subscriptions really help out. They're free, and if you don't like it and you want to unsubscribe later, feel free to. Once again, thanks for joining Parsons Productions.